And tonight on the Daily Wrap, the Iran deal may have passed, but is it a done deal? We'll talk to former staff expert on the Iranian nuclear program, Fred Fleitz. Donald Trump pledged his support to the GOP today, but now he's waging war on Ben Carson. And a Kentucky county clerk is now in jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, along with Rick Unger.
Welcome back.
It's been one hell of a week.
You know, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Second of all, you got to tell everybody that little guy's name.
Liam Joseph Unger Concha. That's what I decided to go with. Because you're a co-host. You should be co in every part of my life.
Is it really Liam?
Yeah, Liam Joseph.
Nice, good name.
LJ, yeah.
I like it. LJ, cool. Very cool.
You got to have the initials to work with sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah,
very
so
cool.
It is very cool. We'll talk more about Liam Joseph later, but first, let's get right to the Daily Download. And the 34th vote backing the Iran deal means the most opponents can get to is 66 votes. They need 67 to override a veto. Let's use a Major League Baseball playoff race as a metaphor, shall we? So for the purposes of this discussion, 34 was the number needed in the win column to clinch a wild card spot in the Major League Baseball playoffs starting in October. Here is John Bachman with more.
34 was a number needed in the win column to clinch a spot in the wild card playoffs. But the White House may now push Senate Democrats to avoid the need for the president to break out his veto pen. For Obama, that would be like winning the division outright. Minority Leader Harry Reid only needs 41 votes for a filibuster. Right now, John Kerry and Joe Biden are working hard to wrap up the 10 Democrats still undecided. 34 plus 7 equals 41. So we can think of 7 as the magic number the administration needs to clinch the pennant and prevent a vote on the disapproval resolution. Mitch McConnell and opponents need 60 votes in the win column to do this. Only 2 Democrats, Senators Bob Menendez and Chuck Schumer, have defected. That leaves McConnell and opponents with just 56 votes, 4 games back, 4 votes shy of preventing a filibuster, and again, 13 votes short of killing the deal altogether.
Thank you, John. And on Tuesday, Congress will debate the resolution of disapproval in both the Republican-controlled House and Senate. It will pass in the House. That won't matter with the procedural situation in the Senate. And it's the Senate Foreign Relations Chair, Bob Corker, who's getting a lot of the blame for that. Joining us now is our friend, Fred Fleitz, the Senior Vice President for Policy and Program at the Center for Security Policy, who has 25 years' experience working with the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the State Department. You were also a staff expert on the Iranian nuclear program as well, so you're certainly the person to have here. Here's the first question I have, Fred, and this is what's always bothered me about this ever since I read the Associated Press report on this August 19th, where they said that Iran would have the ability to inspect their own sites. In essence, the New England Patriots inspecting their own footballs and saying everything's okay at the Parchin military site. Shouldn't that be end of negotiation when you can't verify independently whether there's nuclear activity going on or not?
Well, it was a strange report. The Associated Press confirmed that Iranians will be inspecting at Parchin, where activities related to developing nuclear warheads was being conducted, as well as resolving past activities related to the developed nuclear weapons, known as possible military dimensions. Now, the administration, the IAEA, tried to say, well, it's not true that the IAEA is turning over inspections to Iran. That's true, except in this instance, and this document that the Associated Press was shown proves this.
Fred, since you and I last spoke a few days ago, there's a narrative that's begun developing, and actually it's being pushed, maybe is the best word, by Donald Trump, suggesting that the way the agreement is written, were Israel to at any point attack Iran, that the United States would be obligated to take the side of Iran. Is that anywhere near true?
This is a very interesting question. Now, that is not in the agreement, which I have read very carefully. What the agreement says is that the West, including the United States, will provide nuclear technology to Iran, including fusion technology, which I found incredible, and will help Iran defend itself against sabotage, which means if it starts developing nuclear weapons in the future, the CIA can't try to take it out. But the real concern is there a side agreement where we promise to Iran that we will defend it against an Israeli attack? We don't know yet.
Well, here's, Well, let me first start with the language. The language that they're talking about in the actual agreement reads, cooperation through training or workshops to strengthen Iran's ability to protect against or respond to nuclear security threats, including sabotage. It seems to me a heck of a stretch to take that into a place where you're saying that we would be obligated to fight for Iran. Now, you raised the possibility of a side deal. Yeah, I suppose that's possible. There could also be a side deal that says that Prime Minister Netanyahu has to wear leggings when he visits Iran. It could be anything. You can't just pull that out of the air and say there could be a side deal.
I confirm what you said. What Trump said is not in the agreement.
Right.
We know there are oral understandings that are not in the agreement, too. For example, the provisions on how Iran will inspect itself mostly aren't written down. It's an informal agreement with the IAEA. These agreements frequently have side agreements, and there's speculation in Washington that Trump could be right. I'm not prepared to go that far. I'm just saying it could be right.
Is there evidence anywhere that would support an oral or side agreement suggesting that the U.S. would have to defend Iran in an attack by Israel?
I haven't seen any evidence of that, but I don't doubt that the Iranians have asked for that.
Isn't an oral agreement or these side deals, I keep hearing about these side deals and no one's seen them, aren't they dangerous? Because to me, if I'm just a regular guy sitting at home, it brings about ambiguity. Like, I don't know what's in the actual agreement, what's in the side deal. It just seems like this thing wasn't very well thought out, and it was kind of just done quickly. I know they did it over months and months, but in the end, just to get a deal, they got something on paper, and then it seems like the side deals almost supersede the regular deal. Am I wrong on that?
Well, the side deals address important questions concerning Iran's possible activities in making nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. And the real concern is that when the administration couldn't resolve these, they somehow turned them over to the IAEA. Now, so these won't be shared with Congress. Well, the Corker-Cardin law, which is the basis of the vote next week, says all documents related to this agreement, including all side deals, have to be turned over. These won't be turned over, and I'm just wondering, how can any member of Congress vote for this deal when they're not being shown crucial documents associated with it?
Right, it's the whole point. One more question, and I'll let you jump back in. The $150 billion, excuse me, that Iran get, do they get that almost immediately without showing that they're going to adhere to any parts of verification or anything that was agreed upon within the agreement? In other words, money first and then verify later, or will it be done in stages the way it should be?
It will generally not be done in stages. On implementation day, which will be in about January, after Iran complies with some fairly easy-to-meet requirements. There's other sanctions that will be lifted later, and it'll be in the form of sanctions relief.
Okay.
Fred, I was talking with Ambassador Woolsey yesterday, who very much shares your opinion on this deal. He's not in favor of it.
Would be constitutionally valid, but I don't think there's any legal move Congress can make to force the president to turn this into a treaty.
So in the end, this is what it is, and it's going to go forward, and whether you like it or not, and even though the president only has 34 of 66, or excuse me, of 100 votes, it's going to pass, and this is what it is.
And to say this is a great victory, the president has a third of one house, and they're doing victory laps. This is rejected by a 2-to-1 margin by the American people. This isn't much of a victory.
I actually don't agree with that, but we'll let it go.
Well, share your thoughts on the Iran deal. I'm sure they're interesting by going to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Coming up, Donald Trump.